Hello, this is a follow-up video to my yesterday's video about the simple dialog plugin, and I have made two small improvements to the system already. One of which is that you can now import expressions to the same way you can import text. You just start with just like copying data from that or Control C, and then you open the dialog script and you click on this generate a text from clipboard boolean there, and you will see the clipboard text populate, and then you click on generate a nodes from texts and copy to clipboard, and then you should have it ready, and you click on the graph and Control V, and you see the speaker, the text, and then the expression there. And there you should have also player talking, because player was the previous talker, even though in the line I don't again specify that it's the player, but it remembers who was the previous speaker. And the same thing here, it remembers who was the previous speaker, and then has the expression set up. So yeah, that's the first thing. A second thing I did was enable automatic string table usage also in data tables. And the way I did it is by having first text here, so hello, simple interaction, and something more here. And then I created this editor utility blueprint, which calls this use string tables function with the string tables that I want to use. And now if I click here, fix one-liner data table, it will save these to the string table, and this one uses the generic data table. So let's go through that a little bit more carefully. So first of all, I have some, even in my own project, I have some like one-liners or like some small comments that are just one line in a data table instead of a dialog script. This just makes it a lot easier to work with when it's just one line of dialogue. You don't have to create a lot of branches or switches or anything like that, or create a lot of gameplay tags of like what is the context for that stuff. So yeah, I have this data table that even uses just like a blueprint structure set up here, and then in the character base I have trigger one-liner function with trigger gameplay tag as input. And it goes through the data table and check if the trigger in the data table row matches the function input trigger, and then if the character matches the required character in the data table row, and then if it does, I trigger the speak one line dialog function on the dialog manager, which will generate one line dialog object for the dialog manager to use with the text that you have and the structure that you want to input, without having to create like a specific script for that, like dialog script for that. If you look at the inheritance, it's like this dialog there, and then one line dialog there, one below it. And yeah, that's how that works, triggering the dialog. And I also check that it's not already talking some other dialog at the same time. And then for the editor utility asset, editor utility blueprint, if you've never done those before, you just do editor utilities, editor utility blueprint, and you select asset action utility, and you name something useful like fix one-liners, and you need to implement this class get supported class and return data table as the supported class, and then you create your own function here and name it something useful like fix one liner data table, and you iterate through the data table assets, and then you call this function use string tables with the data table input as object, and then you choose the generic dialog string table and the data table specific one-liners string table. So if we go here now, it shouldn't. Yeah, I actually had this already open before, so that's why it's not showing it well. Now if I open it, it shows those two things there. So yeah, that's how that works. I, at least in my own project, is being able to automatically add them to the string tables from even from the data table was very useful and saved a bunch of time, because I have like a lot of entries here, so I don't have to go constantly into the string table and add them by hand and then find it from here from a drop down menu. So yeah, that's useful for me at least. Now I will go through some of the things that I forgot to mention about the simple dialog plugin itself. If you want to use that in your project, even if you just want to use the functions that fix up the string table usage, that's okay. You can copy those to your own project or whatever. But yeah, if you want to understand more about this visual novel style dialog system that I have, I will explain that a bit more again here. So yeah, one thing I added was this function that you can implement, which is play voiceover here. And for that, I also added this on dialog function into the character uh, uh, dialog interface. So I have this dialog character interface here. So I added this function on dialog, voiceover, and expression as input. And then in the character base, I implemented that function on dialog. For voiceovers, I have a tmap here with gameplay tag and sound-based soft object pointer, and I just check if the voiceover gameplay tag exists in that tmap, and if it does, then I load up that sound file and play it. For the expressions, in my own project, I have 3D structure models and um, facial expressions for those 3D models. So I don't use icons that change, but here I have just set up as an example how you could do that. Is I have a dialog enum with material soft object pointer, and I just change the character icon when the expression changes, as an example how you could do that. One thing I should mention again is that when the dialog ends and on the deactivate function of the dialog script is called, here I have I call everyone that's involved in the dialog, and I called on dialog with expression none on them just to make sure that their expressions are reset. So for that case, you should have the default expression here in the tmap as none. Yeah. So yeah, that's about that. Then one more thing I forgot to mention also is the context system, which is inspired and very similar to the Half-Life 2 context system, with like the speak response system that they had, where Alex might remember something that you had said before, and that was done, I think, with the context system. So yeah, the dialog manager has add context, remove context, has context, get context functions. And you can see them here. I have global context, and then I have structure specific context separately. And here I, for example, checking if the structure has talked to HEPA yet. And if the structure has talked to HEPA, then the start quest choice is enabled. And also, if you're in the middle of the quest, I change the context started quest to 1 when you start the context. If you are in the middle of the quest, I check this value and then I enable this cancel quest choice instead, which will then remove the context if you choose to cancel the quest. So let's see that in action. I will. No, it's already set up. So I will go talk to the structure first, and it will have the start quest choice disabled. And then if I go talk to HEPA, it says that the context is being changed, even in the dialog. And then if I go to talk to this structure again, now the start quest is enabled. And then if I click on that, it should now change the context started quest to 1. And then if I go here, cancel quest is now visible. The other choice is not even there anymore. And then if I cancel it again and talk to again, now start quest is again enabled again. And if I find the player controller here and I look at dialog manager, I can now see the global context talk to HEPA as 1. And then in the HEPA script, I also had a separate value. Remember, you were rude as context, not as global context, but as a context specific to this actor tag character name HEPA. So that's saved to specific to the HEPA character, and they now remember that I was, I guess, not rude to them because the value is 0. But yeah, that's the difference. You can also either like save it globally to like a global, like if it's raining, you could change the value is raining to 1. But then stuff like remembering if someone was rude to you, or rude to a character, you would do with this add context and has context function instead of the global context part 1. If this tag is empty, then it's the same as global context. But for if you use the actor tag, then it saves to that separate array tmap there. The idea why I wanted to do it that way is that if you have stuff like remembers you were rude, originally I had stuff like context HEPA remembers you were rude. But then that would mean that I would have to create a lot of gameplay tags like remembers you were rude, remembers you were nice, remembers you were cheap with your money, or whatever. All those things for all the different iterations of the character. So instead of having to create that gameplay tag and having to maintain them and create all of them for all of the characters, I can just create one for this specific situation and then save it as character with the character actor tag. So that makes it a little bit easier. Of course, the downside from that is that then if I have like dynamic characters, all of the characters, I would have to make sure that all of those dynamic characters have unique actor names, actor tags for them. But I don't have that kind of thing set up. Like not all the characters that talk to you are like dynamically generated. They are kind of unique for the situation. So it's not necessarily a problem I have, at least not yet. But originally I used to have like an actor pointer here, but then that having an actor pointer here had its own problems, so I switched to an actor tag. But yeah, that's about it. I still want to change these to gameplay tags probably. There's another way of saving stuff. Like I used the context stuff for a lot of like generic war stuff, like if you have done a mission or if you have the knowledge about someone, like the general knowledge about someone, or some object. If you haven't like seen a library or something, then you can like change the context has seen library, and then you can ask another character of the library. I use it for stuff like that. In the dialogue scripts, you can also mark stuff with same game flag. If you then save the dialogue object into some pointer, so I don't have the simple saving plugin enabled in this sample project, so I cannot like I'll show it how to do it right now. But it's something like save simple properties, and then you would like input the object as this dialog script um, as the input, and then it spits out an struct, something like custom save data, and you would save that to the character that you're talking to. So if you're talking to HEPA, you would probably save that struct to the HEPA character, maybe through this interface. And then similarly, when you start talking to HEPA, you would load the data from that struct with load or restore simple properties from that struct from HEPA into this object. So then it would restore all of these variables that you have. So then you don't have to constantly use this context stuff for everything. You can just have like these variables here marked with save game, and even have like arrays and stuff, and not just context that's like very specific to integers, and like if the integer exists and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it. I hope the system can be useful, or at least the ideas with the system of like you like automatically generating the string tables can be useful to people. Feel free to use them in your own projects if they are. Thanks for watching.